Hey everyone, this is the No Pill Man, and today I wanted to talk about bad breeding, irresponsible ownership, and how those two factors kind of play into each other with dogs and the impact that it has on other dogs. The goal of this video is to educate people who are thinking about breeding dogs when 99.999% of people should not be doing it. And basically the goal is for people to be more considerate when they bring a living, breathing being into this world. And when people own said living and breathing being, to be more cautious and protect the dog from certain experiences. Because there are certain consequences that happen when you do not protect that dog from said certain experiences. So I'm going to be using my dog as an example. My dog is a working line German Shepherd. And here's the thing. The dog didn't come from a backyard breeder in the traditional sense. The dog was health tested, right? And the person was at least considered a reputable breeder. But this dog has absolutely abysmal nerves. And bad nerves is a highly genetic thing. Let me give you an example. There was a video by Justin Rigney, I believe he's a certified Nepo trainer, and he was working with a fearful Cane Corso, and he brought out a bag of food and a clicker, and the dog urinated on themselves. I think twice at least. And the point is that's not caused from environmental experiences, unless the owner or the breeder or whatever took a bag of food and beat the dog over the head with it, or beat the dog with the clicker. That's highly unlikely. What that likely is poor nerves that comes from shitty breeding. And when you're going to breed these super powerful dogs that could put someone or something in the hospital, it's very important that you breed for good nerves and stability. And there's this propaganda out there that says there's no such thing as bad dogs, only bad owners. And that propaganda, in my opinion, is pushed by backyard breeders to justify continuing to breed these shitty nerve bags. Because if bad behaviors or bad nerves is simply caused by environmental factors, then that means that breeders are absolved of all responsibility for creating these dogs with bad nerves, when it's not the case. Fear-based reactivity is a highly genetic kind of thing. Now let's talk about, so when they produced my dog, based on the dog that is in front of me, that I have, they didn't breed with temperament in mind. They were more concerned with looks and conformation over the actual character and nerves of the dog. So my dog was handed a shitty plate, genetically speaking, and so was I. Then you have certain environmental experiences. So the dog So what happened was the bitch, Lursa's bitch, like the mother, because that's the term, the technical term in the dog world, came to live with Lursa, my dog. And when you have two powerful high drive working dogs together, if you don't manage things properly, shit can pop off. And shit indeed did pop off. And they got into multiple really bad dog fights, with both the dogs being fucked up really bad. And, well, oftentimes people will exaggerate the role of environmental factors and behavioral problems. Well, that is true. At the same time, though, those experiences that she had with the other dog, with the bitch, her mother, were not productive. It's difficult to convince your aggressive dog, hey, other dogs aren't a bad thing, they're not out to hurt you, when in the past, dogs have hurt her quite severely. And of course, previous owner, when they sold me this dog, did not disclose this. And because they didn't disclose this, and because I couldn't, at the time she was giving off a lot of warning signs, right? And because I didn't know how to read dogs, I didn't pick up on it, but looking back, looking at her body language, she was very, very uncomfortable, very scared, very nervy, petrified in hindsight, but I didn't pick up on it, so I got this dog. The previous owner said, she needs work. She needs work. And that is the understatement of the century. There's needing work, and there's needing to drop thousands of dollars on training to get this dog in the right place. And in my opinion, by underemphasizing her issues, the previous owner did me a disservice. And at the time, I thought I knew something about dog training. I didn't know fuck all about dog training. I was not the right handler for this dog. And to be honest, I still ain't. I still don't have the level of skill required to train a dog like this. Very, very, very few do. She's an extremely difficult dog. And working line German Shepherds aren't supposed to be like this. A working line German Shepherd should not be too scared to play in their own backyard. A working line German Shepherd should not be terrified of other dogs and want to try to kill them to keep them away. A working line German Shepherd should have shitloads of food drive and toy drive. And at the beginning, she had neither of it. It took me a long time to bring that out of the dog. A working line German Shepherd should be stable, social, not in the sense that they're like golden retrievers. I understand that they have a natural proclivity towards suspicion of people they don't know. But they shouldn't be terrified. That's not normal. That's not productive. And I think most, it's in the breed standard. The dog is supposed to have a confident aloofness. A confident aloofness is not shaking and shitting themselves when leaves blow. A confident aloofness, what that is basically the dog's like, well, you're here, and I don't really know you too well, but my owner's okay with you, so I'll be okay with you. Just don't get too handsy. It's much more difficult, in my opinion anyway, to address reactivity or aggression that's based in fear rather than the dog being an asshole. Because fear is a very powerful emotion. Whereas if the dog's just being a dick, you can just tell them to knock it off and then they'll stop. But fear is a much more complicated emotion to change. And I've struggled to change that emotion. Have I made great progress? Absolutely. But it's still not where I want it to be. I want to take my dog on off-leash hikes, in the woods safely. I want to take my dog swimming. I want to play fetch at a park. I want to play tug at a park, right? I want to do all these cool things with my dog. I want to do cool German Shepherd shit with my German Shepherd. And I can't do that. It's very frustrating. Dogs, in my opinion, are supposed to be life partners. They're supposed to be things you can do stuff with. And there's not a lot you can do with a dog that wants to maul other dogs. And for anyone who's watching this, who wants to breed their dogs, especially wants to breed two powerful, high-drive working dogs, think twice of doing that, please. Unless you really know what you're doing and you can study genetics and all that fancy shit, and unless you can produce dogs with sound, stable temperaments, and unless you very carefully vet the people you sell these dogs to, do the potential dogs a favor. Unless you're doing that, do the potential dogs a favor and don't bother. Because at the end of the day, it's not ethical to produce a dog with awful nerves. Not only is it not ethical, but it's also impractical. And it's not ethical. And if you're going to rehome a dog with behavioral issues, be honest. Don't lie. And I consider, be honest about what the dog's issues are. If the dog wants to maul other dogs and you're rehoming them to a home with a dog, be honest. Tell them. Because at the end of the day, it's going to be the dog that's suffering the consequences. The dog deserves better. And as it stands, the dogs don't stand a chance.